Now, there will be emergency water cuts in parts of Johannesburg tomorrow. This will be for more than a day. For more on this, let's speak now to External Communications Officer at Johannesburg Water, Eleanor Mavimbela. Thank you very much, Ms. Mavimbela, for joining us. Now, can you tell us which areas will be affected and how long are we talking if we're saying it's more than a day?
Thank you for the opportunity. Well, we're talking about areas like your Johannesburg North, your Cedar Lakes, Cedar Avenue West, Chartwell, Farmer, Bloemfontein, and parts of North Riding. And we're talking about, we're planning that the interruption will start tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. and that the maintenance work should be completed on Thursday evening around 10 p.m. So this runs for around 37 hours.
37 hours with no water, that's quite a long time. What does this mean? That periodically some areas will be out of water, or is this a complete shutdown of water supply in these areas?
So what usually happens with our storage capacity, we are able to supply areas for a couple of hours after we've closed the outlet of the reservoir. So it doesn't mean that exactly 7 a.m. tomorrow they will not have water. They should have water for a couple of hours after that, depending on the demand in the areas that will be affected. But in that doing, we also have planned some alternative water supply measurements in terms of water tankers that we're going to be placing in the areas affected. So residents can get a complete comprehensive list of where they can find these water tankers on our social media pages. On Twitter, we are at JHB Water. On Facebook, we're at Johannesburg Water.
Now, does this have anything to do with that Palmet pump station that caused a very long disruption to water in many areas in Johannesburg? Does this have anything to do with that?
No, it doesn't. Well, this is the shutdown is for a tie-in. So what it means is that we've done some pipe replacement work in the area for the areas that will be affected. So now we need to actually join the pipe we've replaced to the existing system. So it's more of maintenance work that we've done in the area, just the completion of the maintenance work that we've done in the areas affected over the last couple of months.
So now we're talking about an area, or South Africa that still has, has people going to water tankers to get some water in 2021. When is this going to be sorted? This continuous excuse that we receive from entities such as yours that you need to maintain infrastructure, etc. Why does it always need to be interrupted so much? I mean, we remember about 2-3 months ago, there was a lot of interruption in your areas such as Brixton and so on in terms of water. When does the frustration stop?
Well, unfortunately, with maintenance, it's a necessary evil because our system needs to be maintained so that we avoid future cuts. So if we don't maintain the pipe work, we don't maintain the reservoirs, we will run into a danger where now we have to have complete cuts for longer than your 37 hours in order to maintain the pipeline. Also, it's also necessary because given the aging infrastructure in the city of Johannesburg, we have to always keep up our maintenance work so that we don't run into a point where now we have to schedule interruptions for longer periods of time because of the backlog of our maintenance work.
How often do you have to maintain or repair, the pipes or the reservoirs or the pump stations of certain areas before you need to go back again?
Well, it depends. For instance, now we've got a pipe replacement program that we've been running for a number of years since 2014, where we're trying to replace as many of the aging infrastructure in the city. So with that said, we do advise residents that unfortunately, in order for us to avoid cuts, we need to do those maintenance. So we have to basically be be repairing our pipeline every 60 years or so. So because of city of Joburg is such an old city, we do have a number of pipe works that we need to replace in the city. So we've been doing it by section by suburb, region by region, ever since we started the program in the year 2014. And we've made some great headway in terms of residents have noticed the improvement in terms of water supply, in terms of the reduction in number of interruptions that happen after we've replaced the pipelines in the necessary suburbs.
Mm-hmm. You say you started the work in 2014, but since 1994, how long has Rand Water existed?
Well, Johannesburg Water has
Water.
existed since 2001 as an entity, as a company on its own. So before then, it was part of the City of Joburg Council. So since 2000, Johannesburg Water has been around since, existed as an entity or a company since 2001.
Mm-hmm. So just help me understand here. You came into effect as Johannesburg Water to become an independent entity from the City of Johannesburg in 2001, but you started doing maintenance work in 2014.
Not maintenance work per se, but the pipe replacement project per se. So there has been some maintenance work done before then, but in terms of really targeting pipe replacement in and around the city, we started with the program in 2014, looking at the need in terms of replacing the pipe work in the city, looking at the number of interruptions that were happening in the city because of the aging infrastructure.
Mm. I just want to step away from 60 years ago, and apartheid has a lot to blame. We know that. But I just want to understand, why did that work that you're explaining to me? Do you know why, since your inception in 2001, that work of replacing pipes, etc., why did it start in 2014? That's 13 years later. Could it not be the reason why we found ourselves where we are today?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. What we're saying is that we started in earnest with the program, really targeting pipe replacement in the city of Joburg in around the year 2014. Not to say that before that pipe replacement was maintenance in the city was not happening. It was happening, but what we're saying that we started targeting in terms of maintenance, really looking at doing pipe really throwing our weight into doing pipe replacement in the city, looking at or as well as it became a strategic objective in terms of looking at the number of interruptions or pipe bursts that were taking place in the city.